What's up, guys? You know what night it is? Wednesday night, off-centered with Dustin. The hold on, I have to whiz. It was his word, whiz. Just start the show, and I'll be back in 30 seconds. Sports Card Dad, who should be back in about 15 seconds. And tonight's going to be a great show because we have Warren Laufer of Arena Club, the brand new platform / grading company / a lot of things that is entering the space. And of course, it is partnered or backed by Hall of Famer and MLB legend Derek Jeter. So we're going to learn a lot about that show, or we're going to learn a lot about that platform and what they're going to be bringing to the hobby and what they've already brought. So Dustin, I know you didn't wash your hands because that was way too fast for you to wash your hands.
Didn't have time. Yeah, I didn't have time. So I just, I guess I'll grab a wet wipe over here.
You know what? You got another interesting sweater / I don't know what that's called. It kind of has a collar, kind of doesn't.
Oh, it's just kind of like an 80. It's like a, what would you call this? I mean, it's like a whatever, like a jacket.
Abercrombie and Fitch.
Pockets. Yeah.
Are
so
you going back to high school?
So what's really funny is so Kim was saying, my wife Kim, for those who don't know, but she was like, this is so nuts because you have all this like Abercrombie and Fitch stuff that you just pulled out of like a closet somewhere. And I guess it's like back in New York City. So all the like millennials, all the 20-somethings are all wearing it. So guys, it never went away from me, but it's back in. So Brad, you need to catch up. Do you have every button buttoned? Like, what is that?
Well, okay. So check this out. I was looking in the mirror and I was like, because of the placement of the button, I'm like, is that too much man cleavage? Is that too much?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Second thought, let's button that back up.
Right. So you know what's funny about that is I was thinking, all right, are you like going into like a real life what's that movie? 21 Jump Street? You have to go back to high school as like an undercover cop.
Yeah, I'm going back to college. Hey, my oldest daughter is going on campus in January. So I'm just trying to prep for all that. I've got to fit in. Got to fit in with the crowd.
Well, see, now you're the cool dad wearing what was cool for 14 to 17-year-olds.
Hey, it could be worse. It could be worse. I could look a lot older, frankly. For 41, I'm hanging in there.
You know what you are. I'll give you credit to that. And also, even with your hoodie from a couple weeks ago, which was Assassin's Creed gang affiliation hoodie.
Futuristic. It's just too far. It's too far advanced right now. I pulled that out too soon.
So here's what it's about. When you're cool, you're not trying so hard. So the Abercrombie is not try so hard. The Assassin's Creed thing was like, hey, I want to be really setting the trend, but you tried too hard on that.
Here's the thing, though. I didn't buy that for like fashion. I bought it because
it's not fashionable.
I just bought it because it's comfortable. I don't really care about all the other stuff. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, we're going to bring on Warren in a second after I make fun of the Saints and what's happened to Dustin's James Winston cards.
I'm starting to understand why I was able to get season tickets this year. I was on the wait list for 13 years, and this year all of a sudden they popped up, and now I get it.
But see, I was wondering, do they do like a price match where you buy season tickets and then you could, when they tank and they're even worse than anticipated, you can actually lower the price. They'll like do a price match, like, hey, sorry, we're so bad this year. We're gonna like match the lowest price on Ticketmaster or StubHub or whatever selling platform is in right now.
Yeah, I don't know. So the games I haven't gone to, I've gone to 2 home games, but I sold all the rest of them and I did okay on it. I mean, look, it's not like you're getting huge money because we're just not a very good team. But honestly, like my 2 tickets for the season are $1,400. It's not as if I have like $10,000 like club level seats or anything like that. So for $1,400, I went to 2 of them and I've gotten back like 700 or 800 of it, so it's even with like a horrible season. And I went to the Bucs Saints game to see Tom Brady, which was the most expensive game tickets, so it's like, I didn't buy that to like, I kind of went into it. Like if I could break even, that'd be great. So,
speaking of break even, you never will with the Jameis Winston cards, but where are you sitting with those?
Hey, Jameis Winston's career is not over yet. It might be over with the Saints, but I only have 1 card. I have a really good card of his, though. I have like a Topps Chrome refractor numbered out of 75.
They made 74 too many of them.
Yeah, it's a good card. I mean, look, if he ever does anything, I've got it.
He's gonna do something. He might open his own like crab leg restaurant in the future.
Honestly,
But
though, it's kind of strange to see a lot of these number one picks that have just gone completely bust. I mean, like Baker Mayfield, Jameis Winston. Sam Darnold wasn't at number one, but he was like third overall. He's pretty much done. There's just a bunch of these guys that are just kind of like nomads. Like, what are they going to be doing next year? Yeah, I don't know. And the thing that's weird with the Saints too is we don't have a first round pick next year unless we trade Sean Payton to another team and get a first rounder. What is that
what is that
noise?
noise? That's not me, is it?
Is that on
you?
my end? I don't have anything beeping like that.
Is
on
your
my
spamware? I don't know. I don't think that's me.
end.
Anyone in the comment section know what in the world sound that is, or if you can hear it?
Yeah, that beeping sound. So I don't think it's me, man.
Okay. Well, anyway,
I could be wrong.
you know what those guys are going to be doing? We're going to bring Warren on in a second. Those guys are going to be doing breaks with Fanatics.
Who, Jameis Winston?
Yeah.
Jameis Winston's about to have a lot of time on his hands.
And a big need of money, a big need to get as close to a paycheck, an NFL sized paycheck as possible. So anyway,
it's going to actually be Andy Dalton and Jameis Winston doing the break together because they're both going to be unemployed next year.
Yeah. Well, that's football, and I will say that I think I mentioned this earlier in a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't really matter what happens in the first half of the year because one injury really can change everything. Teams have these streaks where they win 3 out of 4, they lose 4 out of 5. Things happen, and now we have 17. Yeah. We have an extra game, and it's really just stay healthy and build chemistry in the second half of the year. And right now, the Bucs have the NFC South by the neck at 5-5,
locked up at 5-5. Yeah,
isn't that crazy?
Really bad. That's the only saving grace from the season. At 3-7, we're only 2 games back, and we still have to play the Bucs again. So it's like, yeah, if we get on some crazy streak, I mean, who knows? I don't know. But half our team doesn't even want to play. We got 13 guys on like the injured reserve list, or not injured reserve, but on the injury list. And most of them are like, man, I just don't know this ankle. It's flaring up. I don't want to risk it.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say this: Tom Brady is undefeated since divorcing Giselle. Just saying. Undefeated. All right. With that, let's say hi to Warren in 1 second. I just got to say hi to some of you guys. Brian Sherland, a.k.a. Helix Band. Great to see you. Tom Brady's looking good again. The Bucs are rolling. AJ Rose, welcome back to the U.S. Great that you're only 2 hours south of me in San Diego. Welcome back from Japan. Mike C's always in the house as well. Great to see you, Mike. Corey's here as well. Great to see you.
We're getting comments about your dating app is the thing that's pinging. Is that when girls swipe left? Is that when they're is that a decline?
No, it's more of like a womp, womp, womp.
Yeah.
Hoff Van Dam, all the way from New Zealand. Amazing. Great to have you here. What's up, Ziggy? Great to see you as well. South Stands 303. Aloha to you as well. Phoenix Rising 2430. What is up? There's Ryan. A new profile picture for Ryan. I like the suit. And okay, Global's here. We got a lot of people in the house. Okay, let's bring on Warren because he's been very patient. We need a podcast dedicated to Brad's dating life.
Yeah, a spinoff.
Maybe. I will say, man, dating right now has been pretty good. I got 2 that I've been dating, both high quality, beautiful women, not taking it seriously, but just dating
not like
both.
A Monte Tao thing where it's like a fake girlfriend. That's
Manti Te'o.
Monte Teo, yeah. What did I say, Tao?
Dude, that's like when you called Raleigh Al, Raleigh AI.
But didn't it look like Raleigh AI? I thought it was a bot.
I will say that, yeah, that's got me in good spirits. I'm getting some consistent action right now, which is nice. Okay, with that, let's make a hard transition back to sports cards.
Yeah.
Warren, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Warren thought that was a sports card show.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Brad spent my first phone call with me telling me about his modeling career, so it's kind of what I expected.
Well, I will say it lends itself very well to online dating because you don't have to have the personality. You just throw up really good pictures, you know all the angles, and then you get all the matches. The downfall is when you meet them in person and then they realize your personality is not really there. So, until that moment, it's just gravy.
The only NFTs that Brad owns are digital roses.
but they serve a function.
Yes. AI, you are in my town. We need to meet up and talk cards.
It's like you still don't know if it's AI or Al, so you can call me out. Anyway, Warren, we're going to go over your story in 1 second, but I just noticed that both you and Dustin look very similar. Either that, or I just think all white people look the same, except Warren, you have a mustache, but you guys look like you could be brothers. Is that a fair statement? People in the chat, do they look like they could be brothers?
The hair, although mine's going like the other way, his is going kind of like, or yeah, that way. Mine's going this way. Yeah, I can see that. Strong
It's tough on
hairline.
camera.
Strong hairlines.
It's one of my few perks.
Okay. Well, anyway, Warren, we talked a couple of weeks ago. You have a rich history in the hobby. You've been involved with a lot of other different ventures, as well as being a collector yourself. So give us the rundown. Who are you exactly, and how did you end up with this new platform, Arena Club?
How did you get on the stream? Who are you, Warren?
Yeah, you guys are supposed to do your homework before I get here, but God, I ask myself how I got here every day. But let's see where to start. I've been collecting, I think like a lot of people my whole life, different things at different times. Cards, then memorabilia, then back into cards. Kind of always, was my foray into entrepreneurship. I think like so many other people in the hobby, or at least, my foray into calling myself an entrepreneur, like so many other people in the hobby. Whether that's true or not is up to other people to judge. But it was kind of my thing that I was doing in high school and college. I spent the first 4.5 years of my career working in HR, which makes everyone at Arena Club laugh because I don't have what people would call the stereotypical HR personality.
I just think it's Joby from The Office the second you said that. And yeah, you don't strike me as Toby, but go ahead.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. But I spent about 4.5 years working in HR up in the Bay Area after college, and during that time I was collecting mostly memorabilia. I'm a big Mike Trout fan from Orange County originally, and so was buying and selling Mike Trout memorabilia, kind of paying for my social life fresh out of college. Ended up being able to scale that up and paying for my MBA actually, which was pretty cool. But I 4.5 years in, I had this calling back to sports, really wanted to try to pursue a career in sports. So I went out to the East Coast to get my MBA, and found out about a week before my final interviews for a lot of the league offices that they were getting canceled because of the global pandemic that was wreaking havoc on sports. And I found myself back in HR for the summer in between my first 2 years of my MBA, which was not where I planned to be. And so I kind of fell back into the memorabilia world and did a cool little project with Mike Trout and the people at Major League Alumni Marketing on Project 2020, which was kind of this stereotypical bubble in the card world. But did that. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Stay focused, Warren.
Found myself late 2020 getting paired up with a couple guys, one of whom is DJ Ski. A lot of people in the hobby know, as well as Carter and Courtney Ream. And we started a fund called Mint 10. Excuse me. They run another fund called M13, and the point of Mint 10 was to bring together their venture capital knowledge and the hobby experience and hobby knowledge that Ski and I had, to start a venture fund that was really focused on turbocharging a lot of these new technologies and startups that we were seeing in the hobby in 2021 and 2022, or excuse me, 2020 and 2021. So companies like Geniment, which got acquired by PSA, Knox Technologies, which got acquired by Beckett, Whatnot, Collects, Center Stage, a lot of these new companies that were coming in, we were investing in them. And that brought me to Arena Club in 2021, where we actually invested with Brian Lee, the CEO, and Derek Jeter. And I got introduced to them, and Brian, I think a lot of people in the hobby don't fully grasp who he is and what his experience has been in the business world, but He's a very successful entrepreneur, founded LegalZoom.com, The Honest Company, Shoe and he's a huge card collector and really loves going to card shows. And so that was a really cool moment to find someone that was so successful in business, but also had this deep passion in the card world. And of course, with partnering with Derek, who is a childhood hero of mine, watching, and depending on the time of year, obviously wasn't a huge Yankees fan growing up in LA, but watching him succeed on the field was really cool as a child. So getting to pair up with him is kind of how I got here. And I've been working, directly with Arena Club for about 6 months now, kind of a little bit more broadly with Brian and Derek for about 1.5 years now. And we really came together to launch Arena Club and try to bring the card show experience and the card shop experience to life in a way that we didn't feel anyone had done yet. And we didn't feel like the online experience did justice to the amount of fun that we were having every time we went to a card show. And that's really what we set out to do at Arena Club.
So to give like a one-liner, like your elevator pitch of Arena Club, what is that exactly? Is that an online card show? Like how would you describe it to someone? Because it's hard when there's not a box to put it in. It's not a grading company. It's not a selling platform. It's not this. What is like the one-line way for a casual collector to understand what they're getting from Arena Club?
I think you nailed it. We want to create an online card show experience for people all over the world, 24/7, 365, to be able to interact the same way that you interact at a card show, but with a much broader group of people and without the time constraints or geographic constraints that you have at a traditional card show.
Awesome. Dustin, ask a question as I go through this.
Yeah. So, and we had talked about this, Warren, kind of before, we came on, but I heard about Arena Club kind of at launch, and that was maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I don't remember exactly when, but how has it been going so far? Because obviously, this space, you guys, I think the one thing that kind of stuck out to me when I first saw this was, first off, it's a crowded space. Number one, it's getting more crowded. Number two, though, the one kind of thing that I see that you guys do that I don't see other people doing is the trade plus cash option. So kind of like what you just said about an online card show experience. When you're at a card show, a lot of times, especially now, you bring X amount of cash, but you don't have, a lot of people, they have cards, they're card rich, so to speak, but don't necessarily have a lot of cash. So they're supplementing with cards. This is a way where you can trade plus add cash and do that all online. Do I have that right?
Exactly. And you don't even have to add cash, right? So you can do a one-to-one trade without having any cash on the table too, just like you would do at a card show. And you can also buy cards with cash and not trade anything. Whether it's wanting to downsize your collection, maybe trade multiple cards for one bigger card, or grow your collection by buying new cards. That's the idea, is that you can do it in any way that you want to collect and really allow yourself to specialize.
How has it been going so far as just user base goes? Because I have to assume that when you start a website like this, you don't really know kind of what that's going to look like as far as new users. How are you guys, doing? I guess, is it, I'm sure you have goals kind of over a time frame, and then, what are you doing to broaden it?
Yeah, so far everything is going better than expected. It's tough. I would say, the pessimism of what we're doing is that no one wants a new grading company, no one wants a new marketplace, no one wants a new vault, and we're doing all three. So I think people that glance at what we're doing are usually not fans of it. Whereas people that spend time really actually checking out the site, maybe putting some cards up, maybe sending in some cards for the grading experience, which is, I think, a lot better and a lot different than a lot of what's going on in the industry right now. We're getting really, really good feedback. So right now it's about doing a couple of things. One is just getting a really robust marketplace. And the best way of doing that is simply to make sure that we're getting a fire hose of new inventory on there. So we're partnered with breakers and card shops and big collectors to really grow what's there, because we want anytime that you go on that website, we want you to find something new. We want there to be something that you haven't seen before, something that you can learn about. Just like you might, walk past a new dealer at a card show and learn something new about a type of card, or an era of card that you didn't even know about, or you might not even have considered collecting. So we want to make sure that that's going, because I think that's going to keep people coming back and interacting. The second thing is just really making sure we educate people about what we're trying to do. And, early on, people looked at us and said, not another grading company, not another vault, not another marketplace. And like I said, Brian and I, our whole team, Derek, collectors through and through. And so if we were doing one of those things exactly like, any of the other companies were doing them right now, we wouldn't want to be doing them either. So it's really showing, hey, how do we bring all of these things together to give you that card show experience? And how can we make that more seamless so that you get the experience of being able to transact instantaneously and not having to wait for your payment to clear, not having to wait for your cards to arrive? How do you interact with people all over the world instantaneously, rather than, somebody in the chat was from New Zealand, I think some from Montreal, and I know I saw Jeremy in there from Canada, although who knows where Jeremy is on any given day. But we can transact with all of those people. And so really educating people about like what bringing these concepts together allows them for is the goal for the next, 6 to 12 months. We're I think going to roll out of our beta early next year. We're going to be at the big card shows. We're going to be at the National. We're going to be at the Burbank show. We're going to be at the Main Collective. We'll be at the Dallas show. And we'll be there with Derek, and, showing people how authentic Derek is as a collector, I think is going to really open a lot of eyes. Because I think, we launched in a time where there was a lot of pessimism around the hobby. There's a lot of pessimism around what was happening with card prices. There's a lot of pessimism around who was taking advantage of who, or who was trying to take advantage of who. And I think showing people that we're here authentically as collectors with a ton of resources. Brian is a world-class CEO. Derek is a world-class business person, which I think a lot of people don't understand. But being able to take those resources and the team that we have as authentic collectors and bring that to life is something we really want to educate people about, and just get people to try it. Because I think when people have tried it, they really, really love it.
One thing I was going to kind of follow up on that is it seems like, this company is one example, but there's been a variety of different startups that have come on the scene really over the last couple of years. And really a lot of them are well-funded. I mean, if you look at like, a lot of the vaults, if you look at a lot of the stuff coming in that are kind of, competitors to you guys, okay. Competitors, I guess the one question I would have for whether it's Arena or any of them is there enough patience there and staying power? Because the reality is like, I think with a lot of these startups, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to probably be a slow build, and who's going to last, over time. What are your thoughts there? Because like you said, like these guys have deep pockets. They have, like there's the funding is there, but it's going to be more of probably a slow burn. I would think it's not going to be like Arena moves to number one overnight. What are your thoughts there?
Totally. No, you're 100% right. And, probably adding to that is this macroeconomic climate that we're in right now. It's not cheap to go out and get money right now. I think one of the advantages that we have, again, is Brian's track record as a founder and CEO is incredible. We're really fortunate to have him and to have his experience and his reputation. So, getting funding is not a problem for us. There are, venture capitalists out the door waiting, lining up to invest in Arena Club, which allows us to be in a really good spot to be patient and to do things the right way and work hard. This isn't going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a year. It probably won't happen in 2 years. But we think that what we're doing is bringing a revolutionary change to the hobby. And we have, fortunately, the financial backing to do that and the patience to do that. And like I said, an absolutely world-class team and a world-class CEO in Brian.
All right. So I want to bring up Arena Club and then have you just walk through a couple of the things. But the one question I have is for the audience, which is just going to cut to the chase, which is what would it take for you to give Arena Club a shot, right? And this comes a couple days or a week after the whole FTX collapse, the bankruptcy. I think there's another crypto bankruptcy. There's definitely trust issues with new
That wasn't
platforms.
Derek Jeter's fault, though, Brad.
Right. No. Yeah, of course. But we're talking about, we're talking about trust
Derek Jeter
issues.
is flying to Venezuela to get away from the FTX.
Well, I mean, remember, Tom Brady was also advertising it, and Larry David. Like, there are people that are that build trust for a company. You know, that I don't believe they had equity in it the way that Derek Jeter, I believe, has equity in this company. But you leverage certain athletes or celebrities for credibility so that they'll buy a certain product or give something a chance. But I'm going to bring this up. I just want you to walk through a couple of the features, just give us a little tour, but then just the one question. And I do see your comments there. This is not a cut shirt. It's actually from Express. It was on sale about $13. And yes, I've been bombarding all of you with
But you said in the
Instagram.
ad that it was cuts and that was it. You don't need another type of shirt. I don't understand.
They didn't actually give me any product. That's the irony. So yeah, if you see my face on Instagram talking about a certain brand of shirts, I did a one-day modeling job for them, and they're just using those videos nonstop. But all right, I'm going to bring this up, and then the one question is just, what would it take for you to give Arena Club a shot, just to try it out once? I'm guessing submitting cards there. That would be the way to give them a shot, besides just creating an account.
There's a bunch of ways, right? Maybe we can talk about them while I walk you through the site.
Okay. Let's
yeah,
share this.
One way would be to submit cards. We'll get to, you can see it right away when you go in the marketplace. But so we accept, because we wanted to. Again, we're not a grading company. We're trying to be an online card show. So maybe Brad, could you filter this by new? Because I know we got a bunch of new slabs in recently. Go back to just the relevance page.
Okay.
Yep. So just to the newest cards. So this is what's new, recently in Arena Club. So the top row right there, that's going to be Arena Club graded cards. And I'd love to walk you through the grading report in a second, but down here, you see those are PSA slabs. I think, you can, if you scroll down again, you'll see some SGC slabs. You might come across CSG and Beckett slabs. We support those 4 grading companies as well as our own. There's a Beckett slab right there. And that's because we really want to meet collectors where they are, which is, we know that this is the way people collect. Most collectors collect across a variety of grading companies. We're starting with companies that we feel are really reputable, that can, we want new people to come into the hobby through Arena Club. And so we want to make sure that if they don't know the difference between these grading companies, they can rest assured that they'll be safe and these cards are trustworthy. These grading companies are trustworthy. But maybe you could go back to that first page for me, Brad.
This homepage?
Yeah. Sorry, the marketplace. And then maybe go back to newest cards.
Okay.
So why don't we go click on that Giannis card right there, the 8, it looks like. So this is a card that was this is Pac-Man, for those of you that follow him on YouTube. He opened a couple boxes of Panini 101 at the Dallas show with us. And so if you actually click see grading report right under that 8, this is the grading report that you can see for Arena Club cards. So you can see it displays centering for you, and it shows the lines, and it'll show you you can click top to bottom as well, if you want, which will show the horizontal axes. And you can click into different subgrades, which will show you. So this one, I think, has some pretty significant corner damage. So in this case, all 4 corners on the back have something going on. And you can zoom in and you can see that. And what we're really doing here is we want to, one, educate newcomers to the hobby about what's going on with these cards why are they graded the way they are, but also full transparency into why we're grading them the way that they are. And so we think that this adds a totally new level of transparency and trust into what that number on that slab really means. And we have a full glossary of basically the way that our grading scale works. We're using machine learning and computer vision along with actual human graders to train this model. Our model was built by Gia Lee, who's a world expert in machine learning at Stanford. She's a professor there. She's worked at Google. She's worked at Snapchat. Some of the most well-known and well-respected technology companies in the world. And so we think that bringing all of that together allows a lot of transparency there. So getting back to, I think, your question, Brad, around how do people get involved, they can send us cards to grade and they'll get a grading report. And there's a couple options for submitting cards to be graded. You can do what we call grade and vault, which is grading your cards to put up on our marketplace. Or you can do what's called grade and return, which is like a traditional grading service, right? That's just like you would get it with any other grading company that you use and that, get mailed back to you. But you can also vault your slabs with us, which right now we're running a promotion through our beta that's completely free. And one of the stories that Derek Jeter likes to tell is that he lost basically his entire collection when his parents' house got flooded in Michigan. And so when people, I think a lot of us collectors were hesitant in the vaulting thing at first. We like to have our cards in front of us. We like to be able to touch them and feel them and look at them. But when you talk about the ease of transaction and how quickly you can transact, not having to wait for them, knowing that they're insured, knowing that they're stored in a fireproof, earthquake-proof, waterproof safe with world-class security, I think adds a level of comfort. And we're hoping to be able to, with the technology that we're bringing out, whether it's the grading report or the way that you can interact on our mobile site, allowing people to feel like they can still interact with their cards in a very similar manner while having the ease of access and the ease of transaction that vaulting them allows for.
When I was just looking at that, I was thinking, and maybe, and I don't know, like, obviously this is, just my 2 cents feedback, but it seems like that would be a really nice pre-grade option, so like if there was an option to like or slab it or don't slab it, but if you were able to send in raw cards and then get that, like, here's the centering, here's the corners, edges, or whatever for a fee or something, and then you could decide where you're grading or how you're going to do that. If I don't know, I just think that because that technology looks really cool. And I did read about the lady you guys said that came over from Google. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like she's got an amazing background. So I mean, like, obviously there's a lot of talent there. But yeah, so that part is really interesting, that tech.
Here's the thing that's interesting about the hobby is that we complain about eBay because there's actually like a lot of issues and flaws. We can complain about PSA because it's slow and all these things. It's just like the majority rules. It's like a hobby where the majority rules in a way, just because it's PSA, it's going to take forever and all this, but man, I can sell it and people will look at the slab and at least at right now respect it. Like, at least the perceived value is there, that the numbers seem to make sense when you go on eBay and look at a PSA 10 versus a newer slab or something that people aren't as familiar with, or even companies that have been around, but for some reason it's like, if the masses agree that this slab is worth more, then if I want to sell it, then I'll be able to sell it, which means that if you want to buy a card, it might make sense buying a card from some other grading company or raw, because then you can get it at a lower price, especially if you just want to hold on to it for a long time. But it is one of those things where you go, all right, the platform, the vault, everything seems to be fluid and help collectors in a multiple of ways, especially overseas collectors. It looks like there'd be a lot of advantages if you're overseas. It just seems like it's one of those, you got to get to that tipping point where it becomes one of the 2 or 3 main platforms or grading companies or anything else to talk about. But before then, it's an uphill climb, because it's the opportunity cost of not having that card in hand and being able to sell on eBay or My Slabs or in person or Facebook or whatever, or Instagram or whatever else. It's the opportunity cost of not being able to have it graded through another grading company that might provide more value today. So it's like it's like such an innovative company, and I just go like, how long does it take, or for you to get to that point where enough collectors buy in, so that then it becomes not even an issue of trust, or will there be enough collectors on here to perhaps buy my card if I want to sell it, or would I be looking at that same card being sold on other platforms for more because that's just where the eyeballs are right now? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, a couple just responses to some of the things though, Brad, is
Brad, put up Jay's comment at 9:30 or 6 your time. When I show up at a show, the next one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, and I guess can we just leave this up for a second? I want to just respond quickly, Brad. But there's one of the things about Arena Club is when it gets to it, if it's there and you want to sell it in person, you can sell it on Arena Club in person. I actually was interested. I was at the Dallas show a week ago, and I actually met Jay there, which I'll get to in a second. But I kind of envision a future where a lot of transactions happen at shows on iPads, where instead of having a showcase out there, you can actually zoom in on cards much more than you can with your naked eye. You can actually really inspect the cards through the Arena Club platform. And then when it comes to your thing about grading with another company or whatever, your cards aren't lost forever to this abyss of Arena Club. You can pull your cards in and out of Arena Club vault whenever you want. There's a $25 fee that's per order, not per card. So if you pull out one card, it's $25, but if you pull out 100 cards, it's also $25. And so we have people that move cards in and out. And I think Jay's a great example. So we met Jay at the Dallas show a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned that he was going to not be back at the Dallas show for I think he said until maybe May of next year. And the Dallas show is like his main place where he sells. So he sent us a bunch of cards, some really, really cool cards that he got me into collecting. I was thinking about him when I was talking about finding cards that you didn't know you wanted to collect. He got me into collecting some really cool old political cards. And I bought a ton from him, and I'm probably gonna buy a bunch more from him too. But he can put those cards up on Arena Club, and when a lot of those cards would otherwise be sitting around in his house waiting for the next card show, they can be for sale. And they can be for sale not just for the people that are going to visit the Dallas card show, but they can be for sale to people in New Zealand or people in France or people anywhere in the world, because they can just buy and store their cards there and they can interact with that. And then if there does become a point that you want to pull those cards out, you can do that. They're never trapped by any means in the vault. You can always take them out.
I know CompC, for example, has a partnership with eBay, which has helped me feel comfortable about sending cards to CompC, knowing that I get the eyeballs of people on eBay looking at the same card. Is that something that Arena Club has considered or toying with just until it hits that tipping point where, it's really just eBay is like the one big one. You're like, well, I can sell for sure here. Maybe it's not the price I want, but there are enough people. Is that something that you guys have considered, or how are you feeling about that?
I don't think so. And there's a couple reasons. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I think other companies that were doing similar things with us have found that certain partnerships didn't work out well for them. When it comes to a competitive nature of some of these companies, it's not always super friendly. And so I think you got to be careful about, where you're going to partner. Where we can partner strategically, I think we'll look for that. But I think, we're not planning to do auctions anytime soon. The reason being is that auctions don't mimic the card show experience, right? The card show experience is you can make an offer, you can set a price, you can trade, and that's really what we're setting out to do. And I think we have to stay really hyper focused on what we want to do and what we're trying to build. And there's going to be great other places for people to buy, sell, and maybe trade cards, certainly grade cards, other than Arena Club. We're not going to try to, we don't want to get rid of PSA, get rid of Beckett, get rid of eBay. We want to build a solution for people to interact alongside those. But I don't think we have any goals of partnering directly with them right now. We have really good traction on our site, actually. we're doing really good revenues and really good sales for our customers that are vaulting and selling with us. And so right now there's not a need to do that. And we think we built, a better buying experience than exists there. So I think if we're really focused on the customer experience, then we need to stay true to that. And the way that we're building out our pricing tools, which I think we're going to launch in a couple of weeks, about helping people that don't know what their cards are worth set a price, and helping people that don't know what the card they're looking at is worth understand if that's a good price or not a good price. We think we're going to build a world-class buying and selling experience, and keeping that stuff native to our site is going to be really important to build that out.
So what about, Warren? I can't tell if John Wolf's comment here is virtual reality card shows or just virtual card shows. Because like virtual events is a thing now. I mean, hell, I think there was one on tonight, a virtual card show of some sort. I got something for it. I logged in. But that, to me, in conjunction with what you guys are doing as far as the online card show, if you did have virtual events as well, because it sounds like to me, I know you guys, isn't there a chat feature where people can kind of like talk to each other on Arena? So you already kind of have like a virtual card show built into it, but are you guys looking to do events like that where it's like, a virtual type card show where you have like, speakers, and you got workshops, and you got virtual exhibit booths and that sort of stuff?
Yeah. I mean, I think long-term, the possibilities are endless. I don't think it's an immediate desire for us to build that. I don't think it's going to happen in the next year. There's a lot of things we want to do first. I think the first thing we want to do is make it a really comfortable place for newcomers to learn about the hobby. And again, that's where I learned about card collecting, was I went to the National, and I think it was 2006 in Anaheim. That was my first big card show. And I feel like that's how people can learn and be educated, and want to keep that available 24/7. It's really hard to do these events 24/7, 365. We want to be a global platform. So doing a show that makes sense for buyers and sellers to actually video conference, at a certain time, that's going to be a big technical hurdle, that we want to make sure we built a really good experience on our basics before we get into trying to go too crazy with it.
So I got a bit of a follow-up question talking about introducing newcomers to cards, and based on Fanatics taking over and hopefully announcing, they'll be fully in charge come January or whatever, they have a big plan to spread the hobby. And I mean, the card prices could be lower per card based, compared to the last couple of years. But if you have 5 million more people globally that are interested, that's a big deal. What is Arena Club's, I guess, idea or maybe thought process with Fanatics coming in and assuming they take the reins and they're manufacturing the cards and they're marketing the hobby, and they can replicate or they can create their own grading company or partner with whatever? Where do you guys sit with what Fanatics could do once they have, they basically have like the Thanos glove on with every stone entering there, and they could just snap and make half the hobby, have the companies disappear. So it appears, but like, how's it playing into your strategy and mindset, knowing that things are going to radically change in the next at least 2 years?
I think it's, I think that's a maybe overblown perspective on it. I've spent a lot of time talking to the folks at Fanatics, and I think they've got a lot of ideas, but not necessarily as much precise direction as it might seem to the outside.
Burn, Brad. Get with the times, Brad.
I mean, look, they're I think what Michael Rubin built at Fanatics on a retail side is incredible. Obviously, an incredibly successful business. They've got some really, really smart people working on the collectible side. And I think that they're going to find success. I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as, they would like or their investors would like. I just don't. I think stuff is really hard. And
they're not going to do Magic the Gathering Wizards of the Coast BS. Have you heard about that? Have you been following that at all?
What are you talking about?
Well,
Brad, I actually follow cards and follow the hobby. What's going on?
Did you say Magic the Gathering?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things going. You know what? Forget it. Anyway, go ahead, Warren.
I think that's the other part of it too, right? Is, you know, even if Fanatics comes in and does this production, and you know what we're hearing about what's going on with Panini rights, you know, right? They're like, Fanatics is likely going to acquire the rights to start producing NBA and NFL stuff next year. But Panini as a whole, as I understand it, is going to continue to operate as an independent company. So you still have UFC and soccer and collegiate opportunities. You have, you know, global sport that isn't necessarily going to fall under Fanatics, at least not instantly. And you have, you know, over a century of cards out there that people love to collect. So even if you start at a point where Fanatics does take over everything going forward, there's a lot going backwards. And I think there's plenty of space for us to really focus on what we're doing really well. And, you know, even if Fanatics does come and take in over everything going forward starting next year, there's a lot of history and a lot of collectors and a lot of room for us to build something really cool.
I do like
not paying attention to that.
The reaction though is like, even if Fanatics screws this up, we still have 100 years of cards to go back. And, you know, like, it's like, even if the new releases are god awful and overprinted, hey, we still have 100 years of cards, which you're right. Absolutely. It's not like it even matters really. It's just new product could get screwed up. But anyway, go ahead. I digress.
Let me ask you something. Just from being in the hobby this long, what would be something that you would love to see outside of Arena Club that happens in the hobby, or some sort of evolution a year from now? Like, let's just say it's almost the end of 2023. What's something in the hobby that you would just love to see happen, or a bold prediction that you think will happen, but completely outside of your involvement with Arena Club?
Oh, I'll give you two. The one thing that I think is definitely already happening, not just at Arena Club but elsewhere as well, is athletes getting involved with collecting, and I think that's really cool. I think a lot of people got into collecting because they wanted to be closer to a game that they loved or an experience that they loved, and the idea that this hobby that for a lot of us for a long time was kind of ostracized and was not necessarily seen as the cool thing to do. The fact that guys like Derek Jeter or Michael Carter Williams or Blaze Jordan now are getting into this and showing off their collections. Kevin Durant, you know, LeBron talks about the cards that he owns. I think that's really cool. And I think that it's that part I really hope is here to stay. I think the other thing that I'm hoping to see is accessibility. Both for, I think the first one is for kids. I think it's become too much of a grown-up game, and I think, not to say that adults shouldn't be in the hobby. I think everyone should be welcome in the hobby, but I think it's become restrictively expensive, restrictively mean. I think there's a lot of negative energy that isn't exactly what parents want their kids to be around, isn't necessarily something that's going to be welcoming for, you know, kids. You know, it's an escape for a lot of us, and I think it should be an escape for kids too. And I think we got to do a better job as stewards of the hobby, bringing positive energy to it. And I think beyond that, accessibility, not just to kids, but to newcomers. You know, all this talk about Fanatics, this only works for Fanatics, and this only works for most of these companies if we can grow the user base exponentially. The number of people in the hobby right now does not justify a $10 billion Fanatics collectibles valuation. The reason that they're getting the valuation they're getting is because there's this idea that we're going to be able to entice newcomers and excitement and bring people in. And the only way that that's going to work is if those of us that have already been around are not gatekeepers to the hobby, are not mean-spirited in the way that we go about it. And then also that we share that knowledge and we share that experience, and I think, you know, bring new people in and educate them in a nice way. Like, I think a lot of us were educated because a lot of us came into the hobby in a time where there wasn't money in it. And so when there wasn't money in it, it was about the passion. It was about really, you know, caring about bringing in new collectors. I think we've gotten away from that a little bit as the money has become the center of it. And I hope that, you know, as this grows, we can get back to bringing in people, being welcoming, you know, showing them why we collect what we collect, how they can collect what they want to collect, and allow everyone to really use collecting as a way of showing off their own, like, personalities, their own interests, and bring it back to a personal thing.
Awesome. We got about 10 minutes left. I do want to ask the audience one more time if the one question is, what would it take for you to give Arena Club a chance? As in, you start an account and get involved in any way. So I just want to get some good feedback from you guys for Warren and for us as well, just so that we know, a new platform, a new company entering. There's a lot of it's an uphill climb no matter what in terms of getting people on board, trust, and all that. But if you can answer, hey, if you were at a show and you were accepting cards, that maybe it's being present right there and having someone to talk with and explain the process, and me going home and not having to have my whole Pelican case full of cards or all these raw cards. I could just dump it that way. That's good. I did that with Comp C in the past, where I just had all my cards. They took it off my hands right then and there, and not having to ship it and do all that was enough for me to trust them and not go somewhere else. So any feedback from you guys in terms of what would it take for you to give Arena Club a shot? All three of us would appreciate it.
And then also, Warren, I guess too, are there any specials or anything Arena Club is doing, kind of like what are the insertion fees and sort of, like, is there anything that you guys are offering right now for like new customers? Or is there anything we could share?
Yeah. First of all, like I said, right now we're running a free vaulting for all PSA, Beckett, SGC, and CSG slabs. I think that for vaulting, insurance, security of those cards normally costs money. We're not charging on that. Obviously, like I said, there's a withdrawal fee of $25 per order. But I think for those people that are looking to liquidate slabs, that's a good option. And then we're running specials along with Derek and along with some of our other partners every day. New cards on the marketplace that, if people are paying attention to the marketplace, they can get some really, really expensive cards for really good prices. We're trying to do our kind of customer acquisition that way, which is, collect your way in. We want it to be accessible. We're not going to, we want to have prices from $1 to whatever, the upper echelon is. But we want to make sure that people collect that way. So I think that's the other thing, is pay attention to the marketplace. Like we showed with Brad, you can filter by new. And I know today Pac-Man alone, when he posted those new cards, there was a couple cards worth over $100 that were for sale for $1, and the first couple of people that happened to find those on the marketplace were able to get a pretty good deal.
For sure. I would have just gone old school with it, which was like, all right, Derek, you're going to be signing a lot of autographs. Every person that signs up for Arena Club gets a handwritten Derek Jeter note, thank you note, autograph.
We got these. We got these slabs. This is a full size Derek Jeter #2 jersey number, and we've given a bunch of these away so far, and we continue to give these away, as well as a bunch of other autographs from Derek to active users.
Is that a metal plate, or what is that? The #2?
No, it's basically a card. It's the card thickness.
Okay.
And then on the back it looks just like a relic card, right? So it says, "Congratulations." I don't know if you guys can read this backwards. "Congratulations, you have received a Derek Jeter authentic autographed jersey number in celebration of the launch of Arena Club. Step into the arena, a new age of collecting awaits." And it's got Derek and Brian down here, and up here in the subgrades is 9/8/2022, which is our launch date, September 8th.
So if you're in the chat, would you not only sign up, but send at least, let's say, 100 cards, whether graded, or let's just say 50 cards graded or raw to be graded, if you got a Derek Jeter autograph card, not a valuable card, but autograph card from Arena Club? Would that be enough? Because I think that'd be a pretty unique offering that I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. Derek Jeter autograph card, especially if you said, thank you for joining Arena Club, Derek Jeter, all in his handwriting. He does that a couple thousand times over the next year or two. I think that'd be pretty cool, especially if it's numbered. Now you make it numbered. I'm just trying to think of like you got Derek Jeter, his hand's still working. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah, and Derek we're gonna be at the National, we're gonna be at the Mint Collective. We're gonna be hosting private events with Derek for collectors that are using the platform. So it's an earn your way in kind of thing. If you're collecting, you have cars on the platform, you're buying, selling, trading, grading. We're gonna roll out a collector's score sometime in early 2023, and those with the highest. It's not machine pen. It is actually the captain signing it. I was very adamant about that when we originally talked to him about it, that it had to all be in person, because like I said, we're collectors first. Nothing's going to get by us in terms of that. But yeah, we're going to have lots of events over the next couple of years at the big shows where we can try to bring collectors together. I think we're even thinking about going to the Paris show next year. I know there's a couple shows down in Australia that we'd like to get to. So there's going to be a lot of places for people to interact with Derek and look at his collection. I think I was telling you guys earlier before the show, Derek's got some pretty cool World Cup Prism cards coming up on the platform in the next, I think, few days. So you can trade, you can buy and sell with Derek on the platform. He's a pretty tough negotiator, but other than that, it's a fun experience.
That's pretty
Very cool. We got just a few minutes left, but there were a couple questions here from Phoenix Rising 2430 about storage fees, and Mr. Lefty 27 about the $25 per card to get graded or in total. So could you just clear up the fees and anything else that potential users might want to know?
Yeah, no storage fees. Start with that. That's easy. Right. Again, we want to be a really transparent company. So the way we make money is we have a 5% fee on cash transactions in the marketplace. That's how we make, and then our grading service. That's how we make money. We have, I think, the lowest fees in the industry. We want to keep those super competitive. We want to take as little of it as we need to basically operate. And then with the question around bulk grading submissions, anything over 50 cards per month, there's special pricing. Folks can email sales@arenaclub.com to get the bulk pricing information. And then if they're returning cards, it's $25 per order. So if you're pulling cards out of the vault, for example, say you have 100 cards in the vault and you want to pull all of them out at the same time, it's just a flat $25 fee. Doesn't matter how many cards there. $25, and then shipping and insurance based off of the declared value.
Awesome. Got just a couple comments here. Hoff Van Dam says, if I could send raw cards to be graded with SGC, etc., I'd be keen. So sending the cards in, I think StarStock had a similar program where you could send the cards in or break with them, and then they would send it to PSA or wherever else. So I'm sure you get a lot of feedback with, PSA or BGS or SGC or whoever else. Sean Higgins is asking about sealed wax. Is that something that you guys are occupying right now?
Not doing sealed wax right now. I think we expect to probably look into doing sealed wax in the future. I mean, just in the last year, you can look at some of the issues that StockX had with sealed wax, some of the issues that some of the big dealers in sealed wax had. We want to be really, really good at a really, really small vertical. And then as we kind of have our grounding and our footing underneath us, then we'll expand. But sealed wax it's a whole other animal. And like I said, we want to build trust, and we want to bring in new users that can trust the experience. And, sealed wax, we want to be really, really good at doing what we're doing. And then we can get really, really good at doing some other things, and we'll bring those in.
Gotcha. We got another minute. So we'll answer this one question real quick. What do you have planned in the future for PR? I don't know if that's public relations or Puerto Rico or something else, but however you want to interpret it, Puerto Rico or public relations.
I'll do both. So Puerto Rico is totally already supported, as are most English speaking countries. We're rolling out countries by countries through Stripe. Mostly right now, because that's where our customer support language is. As we were able to ramp up our customer support team and make sure we can continue to provide really good customer service in other languages, we'll roll that out. But Puerto Rico is fully supported. I don't know if that's the question. If it's about public relations, Whether that's, you might have seen Derek on the Today Show announcing our launch. Derek and Brian are going to be doing a media event in early December out in New York, announcing our next round of investment. And obviously Derek is active on social media and things like that. In terms of outreach, we're going to be at shows, like I said, the National Limit Collective, the Burbank show, the Dallas show, looking at shows all over the country and all over the world. And so we'll be trying to meet as many collectors as we can in as many places as we can.
Awesome. I think being in person is going to help tremendously, to be honest. Dustin, your posture says it all. You're ready for bed.
I'm just getting comfortable. But yeah, I'm East Coast. You're West Coast. So yeah, a little later for me.
Yeah, for sure. I got a Friendsgiving dinner that started an hour ago that I got to run to. But guys, I really appreciate y'all.
Yeah, that's.
I got friends this year. It's great. I got real life friends this year. I'm moving up in the world. But yeah, seriously, Warren, it's great having you on and discussing Arena Club. So if you're going to any of the major shows, it's going to be there. But just go to arenaclub.com. Check it out, get more information, and then just create an account and see what you like about it and just give it a shot. So, I think that's just how any company succeeds, is if you just see if it's for you and give it a shot, then the companies that offer value and are doing better things than the competition will rise and the others will fall. So if you're having complaints with eBay or anyone else, then you know what? Look at the competition and see if it's for you. And I do have a bathroom break coming up in about 60 seconds. Guys, thanks so much. Have a great one. Have a great weekend, and I'll see y'all next time.
Thanks.